SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere you go for podcasts, I'm there. Plus, you check it out on dailywire.com. You can watch the entire show ad-free. The Matt Walsh Show. Check it out. We'll see you there.
If you're looking for cynicism, depression, and also hilarity, Matt is the place to go. Make sure you check out Matt's show. Because Joe Biden has set the world completely on fire, both domestically and mostly internationally, this means that Democrats have to come up with a narrative. The narrative, of course, as you know would be, is that Donald Trump is the biggest threat to the Republic ever. Now, the problem with that particular narrative is that is going to create real unease among the half of the American population that is very likely to vote for Donald Trump. If you wish people to believe that the election is going to be legitimate, you cannot say things like, we are justified in doing whatever we have to do to stop the other guy from winning. That provides you with the motive for doing things that are untoward. Like, for example, dragging the ex-president of the United States into court on a bunch of bull-crap charges with regard to him stooping a former porn star and then paying her money. That was determined by the federal authorities not to have violated campaign finance law on the federal level. In any case, here was NBC's John Meacham. I gotta say, the left-wing historians, they need to take a chill pill. They have been completely untethered from reality. Here's John Meacham suggesting that Donald Trump is a tyrant, and America will fall if he wins.
In one of his first public speeches, Abraham Lincoln said that if the American Republic were ever to fall, it would not fall to a foreign foe. It would fall to a tyrant who rose among us. And I think that's essentially where we are. You're exactly right. What's unfolding in Manhattan today is part of a larger story about Donald Trump, his behavior, his view of whether or not American democracy exists for the good of the country or for the good of Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, he's obviously the threat to democracy is Donald Trump. I mean, he was the president already, and this would be his last term in office, legally speaking. Probably he'll be a tyrant or something. Meanwhile, the president of the United States, the current one, who has run roughshod over the law, who openly brags about defying the Supreme Court of the United States on things like student loans, who attempted to use his Occupational Safety and Health Administration to cram down vaccines on 80 million Americans. That guy, he is the true democracy defender. MSNBC's Michael Beschloss, another one of our bizarrely high historians. I mean, honestly, I don't know where they're getting these historians. These days, they need a better class of historians. Here he was, suggesting our founders would be appalled by Donald Trump. Oh, you mean as opposed to the great centralizer of power in the executive branch, Joe Biden? Like, seriously, name the things that Joe Biden and the founders agreed on. Go. Like, please, I'm waiting. Here's Michael Beschloss.
So, Michael, first to you, what do you see as at stake in terms of history in the way this trial is conducted and the way it turns out?
Well, let's have a very brief, and I promise brief, visit to our founders in 1787, writing the Constitution. I think they felt that they had created a political system that would choose people as presidents who were not too likely to have been, to be accused of criminal conduct. I think that's safe. So if they came back in 2024, the first thing they would say, I think, is, you know, our system did not work, what happened?
I mean, honestly, I think if they came back in 2024, Donald Trump would be the least of their squabble. They might look at the fact that pretty much everything they rebelled against the British Empire with regard to, like, for example, taxation without representation, they might look at the administrative branch of the American government and go, what is this? We didn't put, like, what is all of this? Like, this giant executive power that you've created, what is this enormous federal government that we literally wrote a constitution in order to subvert? What is this? I think they'd probably start there. Donald Trump might be a little lower on their list. Already coming up, Donald Trump's trial begins in New York. This is Ben Shapiro Show.
It's happening daily. We're being conned by the institutions we used to trust. The mainstream media is distracting us with meaningless headlines instead of focusing on the harsh realities facing American families. Time is short before something big happens, and that's why so many folks are preparing. They're becoming self-reliant by investing in emergency food storage from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and secure 4-week emergency food kits for each member of your family. Each kit contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $50 on each 4-week food kit you purchase. Plus, get free shipping on Ready Hour 4-week emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. At My Patriot Supply, you can also get solar power generators, water filtration units, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your unmarked boxes ship the same day. Shop MyPatriotSupply.com today. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Haven't filed tax returns for years? Think you can't have a life? Think again. You've heard me say that to you for years. Let us take this burden off of you, your family, your business, and solve it for you. You never have to have this problem again, no matter how many years tax return. This is a very common situation. We have tremendous experience in helping people and businesses solve this. You can have a normal life now. Don't have your records, or your records are in a mess. Former spouse, partner, or bookkeeper always used to do everything for you. Don't know how to account for crypto? Don't have the money to pay your taxes? No problem. We'll get all the records that the government has on you. We can help you with your back and future accounting, or just do it for you. And if you're unable to pay your taxes, we'll explain all of your various options, and then we'll negotiate the best option for you. Call Moskowitz LLP at 888-TAX-DEAL. That's 888-TAX-DEAL. 888-TAX-DEAL.
It's so dark and stupid. Zing, like no fucking lights here.
Fraudulent tax returns due to identity theft increased by 30% in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Their U.S.-based restoration specialists are dedicated to helping solve identity theft issues, and all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. Which means if you lose money because of identity theft, LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan. Help protect your information with LifeLock. Go to LifeLock.com and save up to 25% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code.
Whether it's food for meetings or company events, EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work work. And that means all you have to do is sit back and take credit.
Wow, the vegan and the meat lover taco bar?
Here's about it.
Oh, all I did was use EasyCater.
Take the credit.
Well, I guess I sort of
Take it.
invented taco bar.
Too far, Jill. Too far. EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work work. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Ben Shapiro shows that Donald Trump is finally in criminal court. There are a series of rulings, some good for him, some bad. Here he was prior to entering court suggesting that his trial is an assault on the country. And to be fair to him, it kinda is. This is a very stupid case. Remember, this is a case where he's being charged with 34 counts. Those 34 counts are felony counts related to the fact that he wrote some 34 separate checks to Michael Cohen to reimburse his lawyer, Michael Cohen, for having paid off Stormy Daniels to keep her yap shut about the fact that she shook the president many moons ago. That's what we're talking about here. Now you ask yourself, wait a second, if that's a federal campaign finance violation, why isn't he being tried on the federal level? And the answer is, he was never tried on the federal level. The federal prosecutors decided that the case wasn't worth their time. There was not a violation of law sufficient to justify a prosecution. That didn't stop Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who then decided that he was going to somehow jerry-rig this thing into a felony trial. And he was going to suggest that Donald Trump had committed financial fraud by somehow labeling the payments to Michael Cohen as non-campaign related expenses, even though it was a violation of federal campaign finance law. The whole case makes no sense whatsoever from a legal level. So when Donald Trump says this is a violation of Americans' perception about how elections should work, he's not wrong about that.
This is an assault on America. Nothing like this has ever happened before. There's never been anything like it. Every legal scholar says this case is nonsense. It should never be brought up. It doesn't deserve anything like this. There is no case, and they've said that people that don't necessarily follow or like Donald Trump said this is an outrage that this case was brought. This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never
judge in this case, Judge Merchant, made a couple of rulings yesterday in court. One was that prosecutors cannot elicit testimony to the effect that Donald Trump's wife Melania was pregnant when another Playboy model was stooping President Trump, allegedly. So the jury won't hear that, but prosecutors can still tell jurors about alleged efforts to suppress McDougal's story, Karen McDougal. That is because they're trying to set the precedent that Donald Trump was trying to shut up all the women he had stooped during the 2016 election. They're trying to set a predicate for the idea that what Donald Trump was doing in paying hush money was not an attempt to shield his wife from the bad news. It was instead an attempt to shield the American public from the bad news in advance of the election. With that said, prosecutors will not be able to play the infamous Access Hollywood tape for jurors, but the judge said the prosecutors will be able to present internal campaign emails that Assistant District Attorney Steinglass said contained powerful evidence of the campaign's reaction to the incendiary language contained in the Access Hollywood video. And they're trying to draw out the relationship between Donald Trump and the National Enquirer, which Donald Trump was allegedly using as a cutout in order to pay to kill stories. That is what this case is all about. With all that said, are Americans really that engaged with a story about Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal? Is that like what people are seriously caring about right now? I think most of us are mostly concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. You know, the fact that there might be a world war because of Joe Biden's weakness. Many of us are concerned about the fact that Russia is on the move in Ukraine. Many of us are concerned about the fact that inflation continues to be nearly 50% too high. Like, that seems more problematic. But the media are focused like a laser beam on Donald Trump being in court because they love this. Again, anything that stops Trump is, in fact, their priority. But that said, apparently Donald Trump went to sleep in court today. So Maggie Haberman said that.
40 minutes ago, you wrote an observation that I was very surprised. Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes flat. Tell us about that.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep, and repeatedly his head would fall down. There have been other moments in other trials, like the E.G. Sherrill trial, which was around the corner in January, where he appeared very still and seemed as if he might be sleeping, but then he would move. This time, he didn't pay attention to a note that his lawyer, Todd Blanche, passed him. His jaw kept falling on his chest, and his mouth kept going flat. Now, sometimes people do fall asleep during court proceedings, but it's notable given the intensity of this morning and a lot of what we've been learning.
Okay, or maybe Donald Trump is just like, whatever. I mean, that would certainly fit the personality. Okay, with all of that said, prosecutors are now trying to push for Donald Trump to be held in contempt. According to Mediaite, MSNBC legal analyst Lisa Rubin, who was inside the New York courthouse, tweeted, while arguing for the admission of tweets and social media posts evocative of Trump's pressure campaign on witnesses, the DA's office who drops this shortly will be asking in order to show cause why defendant should not be held in contempt for violating a gag order on him. Again, the more the courts crack down on Trump on idiocy like this, I think that the less it's going to hurt him. And again, what it does set the predicate for, and this is all very dangerous stuff, because what it sets the predicate for, again, is the fact that if Donald Trump does not win the election in November, Republicans are rightly going to look at the processes that have been used, and they're going to ask a lot of questions. One of the questions they might ask, for example, is why Democrats have been so stringent in attempting to fight, say, voter ID. This is a very commonsensical idea, that you should have to show ID before you vote. And yet here was the MSNBC panel over the weekend suggesting that that was just a terrible, no good, very bad thing.
Now, apparently, House Republicans are going to pursue legislation requiring proof of citizenship to vote. My question is, so we're going to show proof to Miss Susie at the polling place? How is Miss Susie going to verify? Are we asking people to bring their papers? This is America. So I just want to know, is this what all of the House Republicans want to lay their chips on, even the 18, the sitting districts that Joe Biden won in 2020?
What strikes me is this is the long tail of a long-time Republican effort to make it harder to vote, because they know that some of those requirements, having to show a license, they disproportionately impact communities of color, and what's interesting is they also disproportionately impact older Americans.
Oh, yes,
right?
yes,
So,
yes.
and that's the part that you would think that Republicans would be more attuned to strategically.
But I think the bigger, broader, scarier point, Alicia, is this is all to breed distrust in our elections process.
Okay, you know what you could do if you wish to fight that distrust? Make people show ID when they vote. You make them do it when they buy alcohol. You make them do it every time they fly in a plane. Why precisely should you not show ID to vote? By the way, every single demographic in the United States is in favor of voter ID. By polling data. There is no, vast minority resistance to voter ID. That's why when Republicans look at this sort of resistance, they're like, what are you even talking about? Why are you... And the answer that many people come to is maybe you're in favor of not having voter ID because you kind of like the idea of the voting being a little bit squirrely. Alrighty, folks, we reached the end of today's show. Back here tomorrow with much more. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is the Ben Shapiro Show.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO San Francisco, KSAN HD2 San Mateo, a Cumulus Media Station.
A mass shooting involving scooters. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. 2 masked gunmen on the small motorcycles in New York City shot 4 people Tuesday night, killing one of them.
Several NYPD officers and detectives on scene of a quadruple shooting turned deadly Tuesday evening. Shell casings lie scattered in the Bronx. The victims, all men who police say were standing on the corner at the time. The shooting underscores why police are going after illegal scooters, sharing their direct relation with violent crime. Since January, 9,500 have been taken off the streets. 13 arrests have been made.
Kendall Green with Fox 5 New York. The man killed was 29 years old. Police took 1 person into custody and are investigating the shooting as gang-related. Former President Trump's harking on crime in New York City. He headed to Harlem to campaign after day 2 of this hush money trial wrapped up and slammed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who's prosecuting the case.
Alvin Bragg does nothing. He goes after guys like Trump who did nothing wrong. Violent criminals, murderers. They know there are hundreds of murderers all over the city. They know who they are. They don't pick them up. They go after Trump.
Jury selection in the hush money trial resumes Thursday. 7 jurors seated so far. Several committee leaders in the House say they will back Speaker Johnson's plan to provide aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan in separate bills. But National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says the House should instead vote on the single bill passed by the Senate.
We don't support a standalone bill that only funds Israel because Ukraine needs munitions too. Now look, I think we still have to see the Speaker's proposal in more detail. The important thing is that the House moves this week.
Israel says it will retaliate against Iran for Saturday's drone and missile strike, but is not sharing how. The White House announced Tuesday it will impose new sanctions on Iran for that attack. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The Voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we're going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the front. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Maui fire officials release a report on how the agency responded to last year's deadly wildfires.
The Western Fire Chiefs Association lists 17 recommendations in the after-action report, including that the Maui Fire Department be fully stocked with additional trucks and water tankers. Also recommending the creation of a statewide mutual aid program, an evacuation plan for residents who speak different languages, and that officials analyze the island's cellular system. It details what went well and what could have gone better when officials responded to the wildfire that tore through Lahaina last August, killing 101 people. It comes a day before Hawaii's Attorney General is expected to release the first phase of a separate investigation about the events leading up to, during, and after the blaze. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The Olympic torch is now lit.
From July 26th, the roar of the crowd in Paris. Today, reverential applause in Olympia. That the moment the Olympic torch was lit, not directly from the sun's rays as intended, it was too cloudy for that, but from a flame ignited during yesterday's dress rehearsal. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach says the Games can be a unifying force.
With wars and conflicts on the rise, people are fed up with all the hate.
The Olympic torch will travel through Greece before a mammoth land and sea journey across France and its global territories. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell increases uncertainty on when the central bank will cut interest rates. He says stubborn inflation makes it necessary to let current interest rates do their job and push inflation down to the Fed's 2% target. That kept a lid on stocks. S&P and the NASDAQ fell a fraction Tuesday, while the Dow gained 64 points. I'm Carmen Roberts, and this is Fox News.
KSFO traffic from the Chilton Auto Body Desk.
Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control. The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving. California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang.
It's the Fix California Hour on 560 KSFO with John Phillips and Randy Wang. You can also get us at KSFO.com and download the KSFO app. It is my pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. I believe it's the first time we've had him on since...
Not traffic yet. There's no actual report. That's kind of weird. Yeah.